Hi everybody, Father Scott Vanderveer here with a little discussion about language and why language matters. Have you ever gone to a funeral and wanted to say something meaningful to the family that was grieving and have been left with inadequate language? The thing that we're most often tempted to say at a funeral is, "I'm sorry. I'm sorry for your loss." Which is a complicated thing to say because those are the exact same words that we say when we've done something wrong and we're apologizing for it. I'm sorry I hurt you. I'm sorry I lied. I'm sorry that that happened. So how is it that we use the exact same word for I am aware that you are going through something so hard and it hurts me, versus I did something wrong and I regret it? Those are two such different feelings. Shouldn't they have different words? Well, in Spanish, they do. In Spanish, the way that you say to someone, "I am sorry," when you were at a funeral is to say, "Lo siento," which means, I feel it. Isn't that different? Isn't that different? To say, I feel it, when you're talking to someone who is just so brokenhearted by something that's happened to them and saying to them, I feel a little portion of your pain. I am sensing how hard this is. I feel it. That is a very different sense than to say, I regret that you're going through this. I'm sorry. In fact, sometimes when I've gone to funerals, I have found that when I say I'm sorry, especially if the person is very disoriented by their grief, they might say, well, you didn't cause it. I don't blame you. And of course, that's not what I'm saying. Of course, I'm not saying I'm sorry that I had a role in the death of your loved one. That's not what I'm saying. But it's because the words I'm sorry are so widely used for so many different kinds of things, it makes it really hard to know exactly the right use of language in that moment. You know, the exact same thing is true about the verb to be. In English, we have one verb to talk about all the things that are permanent and all the things that are passing. Be. I am, you are, he or she is, we are, they are, we all are. That's only one verb, the verb to be. So when I say I am Scott, I use the exact same verb as when I want to say I am hungry. Now that's really confusing in a way because in other languages like Spanish, there are multiple verbs for that. In Spanish, there's the verb ser, which means to be permanently something. And then in Spanish, there's also the verb estar, which is for things that you are only for a time, temporary ways of being. So, when I say in English, I am Scott and I am hungry, and I use the same verb, it makes it really hard for me to know the difference between saying, I am God's child and I am feeling impatient today. Those are two very different kinds of things. My being God's child can never be lost. It can never be changed. It is my true identity. It is purely who I am. But being hungry or impatient, grumpy, those are all changing things. So in Spanish, I can say different verbs. Soy Scott for I am Scott. That never changes. But yo estoy gruñón says I'm grumpy. That's not permanent. That's not the same thing as being Scott. That's not the same thing as being a child of God. My hunger, my frustration, my impatience, my grumpiness, those are all passing. So we use a word that shows these aren't permanent. But being Scott, being God's child, being someone who is a very worthy participant in the kingdom of God. That is something that needs a word that is unchanging. Do you want to hear something so beautiful about studying language? I got to study Spanish just for 2 summers in the Mary Knoll School in Cochabamba, Bolivia. It was a hugely formative experience in my life. Not only because I got to learn a new language, although it's a language I rarely get to practice, so it's not nearly as useful as it once was, but I will say that one of the things I learned is that the soul of Spanish is incredibly beautiful, and the language allows us to understand a lot about what we believe. For example, with the verb to be again. When someone dies, we say, he is dead. Punto. It's finished. He's dead. There's nothing more to do. That's who he is now. The same name, he is Charlie and he is dead, are the very same word. In Spanish, being Charlie can never change. Your name and your identity, those are ser. Those are the verb that means forever and always. But to die, or being dead, uses the temporary verb estar. Él está muerto. Not él es muerto, not he is dead. That would be too strong an identity. Remember that this word always means it's only temporary. What a beautiful language. Do you hear that our faith is contained right within it? He is dead temporarily. Why? I'll tell you why. Because of that. He is dead, but not for long, not forever. He is dead. But dead is estar, because dead, thanks to our God, is never permanent. May God bless all of us as we grow in our understanding of our true identity as children of God, infinitely loved and forever in God's image and likeness. Peace be with you.